Hi, I'm Eric Schiller. Thank you for watching our videos. In this video, we're going to make a 2-foot by 3-foot sign, and this is going to be a carve-away technique rather than an engraving technique. So we're going to basically pocket out and remove a lot of material in order to leave us with the raised letters. I apologize, I left the shop music system on during the video, and it's a little muddy and in the background. It takes away from being able to hear what I was trying to say when I was at the machine. So I apologize. I'll try not to do it again, and you live and learn. The finished product with a top coat on it. This is going to be a tabletop sign, so it's going to be inside. This is it right as it came off the table. And this is what we started with. Regarding cutting techniques, this was a 3/8 inch deep pocket that we removed all the material. I used a 1/2 inch 2-flute, straight flute bit. Programmed it at 200 inches per minute and let it do its thing. Came back in afterwards with a 60-degree VBit at 150 inches per minute. There's a couple things that I would do differently next time, but overall it was a quick project. It worked well, and the customer was very happy with it. So with that being said, let's go feed the beast. I have a sign to do for one of the cabinet shops. It's a little further down in our complex here. So he's glued up some good-looking pine, and I'm going to carve away everything all with a 60-degree V-bit and a hogging bit. I'm just going to use a 1/2 inch just because I got a 3/4, but I need to go grab a replacement, and I don't have time. So I'm just going to run it with the 1/2 inch to do the quick clear using Vectric software. I'm using Aspire, and then a 60-degree V-bit to clean up and do the raised letters. So we're going to have the stain on the raised letters. The background's going to go down 3/8, and there's a little border around, and then a ornamentation up here. So the question is, how do you hold it? At the AWFS, a lot of people were saying, well, if I'm not doing a full sheet and I'm not using the roller hold downs, how do I hold it down? So what I'm going to do, I put painter's tape on the table. I would flip the part over, basically line it up with it. Run painter's tape across here. I put activator here, and I use medium CA glue on the part on the table. Flip this back over, and then place it back down with the tape lines lining up. Hold it down for about 10 seconds, and we're good. That'll hold down. So that's how I'm going to do it. Be back to you in just a sec. Okay, so I've got the tape on the bottom side of my workpiece. I've basically lined them up so I can see when I flip this thing over, and I have to flip it in the same orientation, so I've got to go left to right, or right to left in this case, and then place it down. I usually overhang my tape a little bit so that it's easy to see and line up when I put it on top of the tape that's below. Now I would move this out of the way. The finished piece, I'll apply a medium line of glue, just a single line right down the middle of the piece that's on the table, and then some activator on this tape. Place this down and hold it for about 10 seconds, and it will be good to go. And the way I've done my paneling here in the table, I put orientation lines so I know I could use these as orienting. So what I did is I used the opposite end of this. There's a groove right here, and I just lined the material up with that so I know that everything is going to be squared with the X and the Y. I'm in good shape. I'll take the tape off for the top, that I marked the top of the piece, and we are ready to go. Now, because this is already pre-stained, I don't want the roller hold down wheels to be rolling up and down on them, so I'm going to pull the X-beam up about a 1/2 inch, just using a spacer of 1/2 inch MDF. Clamp it down on both sides so it's level to the material, oriented from the material, and then pull the spacer out. It'll just be riding in the air like all spindles typically do. So we're going to bypass our roller hold down. Okay, so I separated the X-beam using the cam clamps on the end, and I'm going to put just some 1/2 inch MDF under the rollers and then lower it down so that the rolling wheels don't mar the pre-finished or pre-stained surface. He is going to put a final coat of urethane or something on it. So I've got it raised up. Doing this one-handed, so hold the camera for a second. So that side's down. Come around to the other. hold the camera, sorry about the video. And that side's down, so the wheels are on the MDF, and then I'll just move the machine off of it and lift the MDF. Cam clamp this side, move the machine off. And so now again, the spindle was squared to the material. These go out of the way, and then I'll touch off my tool and go to town. By using this gluing technique, it's quick and it's steady. Okay, you've probably seen us touch off the tools before, but I'll do it again quickly on this video. I'm going to pull out the dust chute. I'm going to use the up and down arrows to bring the bit down toward the material. When I get close, I'm going to switch hands with the camera and reach around the back. Grab the Z0 tool, put it under, and I'm going to push the Z0 button here on the console. And then that is slowly moving down to touch off. Once it touches it, it'll create an electrical contact. There we are. And it goes up. It knows the thickness of the panel that it's touching off to, and it adjusts. Now the software will adjust. So we're ready to go. Put the dust chute back on. When I start the program and select it from the console, the system will start up. So I'm going to go to select job. This was the Graves job, the pocket. This was clearing it. So this was clearing it with the 1/2-inch mortise cutter. And typically I'm clearing most of this panel down 3/8 of an inch, except for the letters and a quick border and a detail. It's got the job loaded. I don't need to check it. But what I will do is let it go ahead and draw it for me on screen. It doesn't really pick up very well, but it has drawn some of the text out. I'll look at it on the machine, and I need to reorient that. I picked the bottom left-hand corner of my part as my origin point for the part, but I have it rotated 90 degrees, so I'm going to go back into Aspire and flip it again because I've already glued it down. So I'll just rotate the graphics and the material size 90 degrees, and we'll be good to go. Okay, real quick here in Aspire, this is the way I laid it out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Rotate everything that I've captured there, and then close it, and also change my material size and rotate that. So it's going to be 24 wide, 36 tall. And then I'm going to grab this and just move it out of the way. Just using the arrow buttons. I'm going to grab all this geometry and center it. I know there's a reflection from the flash on the camera. I wasn't planning on doing this on screen, but it's so simple and so quick with all the Vectric products. So now it's rotated. Then I would go back in. I always recalculate. All toolpaths are successful. Now it's rotated around. Again, I want to see it, so I'm going to look at it, reset the preview, preview all toolpaths. First cut, second cut with the 1/2-inch, and then going in with the VBit, so that looks good. So I'm going to now save it again. I'm going to pick the pocketing. I'm going to select this, and that's the 1/2-inch end mill, and I'm going to save that. I'm just going to save it on top of the other one. Now I'll select the other one with the 60-degree VBit. Showing me my 60-degree VBit here, and I save it. I'll drop it right on top of the other one, and then for simplicity's sake, in FileZilla, I always delete them from the directory on the controller. That way I can't make a mistake. I'm definitely putting new ones on there. And I'm going to go up a directory and then back down. And then I'm going to take this and drag it. And normally I would do the other one at the same time. by holding down the shift key or the control key to select them, but using one hand for the camera, one hand for the mouse, not so easy. So I got both of those over here, and now I'll go to back to the controller, and off we go. Okay, here we are with the part rotated incorrectly. I'm going to go in and load a new job. I'll take Graves 1. The job is loaded. I don't need to look at it. It's going to take a second to draw it up, but I'm just going to look at how it's oriented on the machine, and that looks right. Now I have to set my my origin point. I haven't set on my material yet, so it is offset based on where I had it last time. If you look at the table, with it overhanging the table a little bit towards me, but that's because I haven't done my full setup of my corner of my part. I've got it oriented the right way, so I'll do that now. So I would come down here to move it. I'll go fast. I'll let up. I'll come toward me fast. I'll pull the screen out so I can see. I'll drop the Z by touching the button. Normally I'd use a small bit for this, but because this is a fairly 2x3 sign, fairly large sign, it's not going to matter if I'm off just a tiny bit. So that looks good, like the center of the shaft is on the edge of the wood. And here, I'm going to come down a little more on my Z. And that also looks good when it's lined up with the center of the shaft. So I'm good there and there. And that's going to set my X and Y coordinate. I've already set the Z height on the tool while on the material. So now if we look at the setup, it looks a lot better on screen. So I'm ready to go. So this is going to start pocketing out. I've got it set for 2 passes. I had it set with 3/4 inch bit, but my 3/4 inch bit is a little dull, so I'm just going to use this 1/2 inch mortising bit, and we'll go to town. Grab the dust shield, put that in. Oop. The dust shield won't fit on because the tool is too big, so I'm going to raise it up out of the way. Go to fast speed, raise it up. Put the dust shield, the gap in the dust shield that I made, because I like to be able to take this off and on when I'm doing work. I was probably using a 1/4 inch bit, so I just cut that little bit away, and now I'm using 1/2 inch bit. So I've got it raised up out of the way. It'll drop down when we tell it to run the job. Everything looks good on the machine, so we'll just tell it to go ahead and start. This shows us our Z height. The red is the material, yellow is our safe zones. We should be good to go. When I tell it to go, it should turn on the shop vac. I may have to go do that manually because I just got back from the show and haven't gotten everything hooked up. This is the first time I'm running something. So I'm going to pause it. It's pulling back up on a pause. I'll see if the shop vac is connected. And it is not. So it's not on. Let me go kick it on the shop vac. So here we are carving, good chip load. Just gonna let it run. Got good chip load. Because I've got the unit raised up off the material, the dust extraction is not doing much, but it's catching some. Okay, so I paused it until it got too far into it and just shot back away a lot of the debris just to see how it's going to look. There's not much bleed. I didn't do the staining or anything, but there's not going to be much bleed when I come back in with the 60-degree VBit and clean that. It's going to look very good, good high contrast. So let it go again. So when I hit pause, it came up, turned off the spindle. I'll come back in and go right back into it. I'll just let it work. I'll come back to it in a bit. For reference, this is a 3/16 steep cut. That's a solo plow, 1/2 inch bit, programmed at 200 inches per minute. Great chip load, so I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to adjust the speed here on the controller. I can go up or down. That looks good for this material. The cut quality is great. So I'm just going to let it go. Most of this is going to be pocketed away. So that's one pass at 3/16 of an inch. And this is, I've just shop vaxed it off. But that's what good chip load looks like. That keeps your tool cool and which will keep it sharper longer. So now it's making the second pass at 3/16 for a total of 3/8. And so we'll have nice raised letters, and then I'll change to the VBit, the 60-degree V, to clean up everything. So there it is after the 2 passes. And you see the ledge here, because I'm going to come in with the 60-degree VBit here. So it's cut away a lot of the waste, and then it's going to come in and clean all this with the 60-degree. And I think I've set it for 2 passes as well. Okay, so it's made the first pass with the VBit. It's half the depth of 3/8. Just clicking along. It's going to also clean up between the letters where there was not enough room for the 1/4 inch to get in, like here. It'll come in and clean all that, and then do a V on the edge of the letters. I think I've got it set at 150 inches per minute. I'm not sure. I'm just leaving it. There's a hilltop and a cross over here, and it's going to be very thin, so I don't want to put too much, if I walk away, I don't want to put too much pressure on it and have it break off, because it's only 3/8 of an inch, raised, connected to the wood. So the first pass is nice and clean though, nice sharp edges on the letters. Still has to come in and clean it up. I'm going to do the second pass. Okay, here it is, kind of taking the final cuts. It's going to take these ledges down with the 60-degree VBit. To the depth of the main pocket area, and just clean it up. I've slowed it down a lot because I wanted to grab it with this ornamentation of the hill with the cross on it. I didn't want it to break that off because it is so thin already. So I slowed it down to 40% of its program speed, but I can kick it back up on the letters because they've got enough meat to be held down. And here we are. Nice, cleaned up little pocket. 60-degree VBit. Okay, the sign's finished. Couple lessons learned. I need to control the x-axis a little differently because I didn't want it to roll on the finished material since I was going to cut away so much of it. I just propped it up with a 1/2 inch material between the original finished stain material and clamped it down. I would have done better if I put a spool board out here and had it run the length of the work on those runners elevated a bit. That would have stabilized the X-beam a little bit. So it's user error, clearly. So what happened is when it was coming down here, coming this way, and then stopped and made the turn, there's about a 20,000th small crease right here where it pivoted a little bit because of not being supported. Clearly my fault. So next time I do that a little bit, that would sand away in seconds. Everything else looks good. A little better, a little bigger spacing here would have worked well. That we could dig all the way down to the same level. But I was following an image that they had sent in the sizing of everything. So all good. I haven't cleaned it up with sandpaper anymore. I'm just touching it with my fingers to clean up some of these inside burrs and stuff, and they're wiping right away. So that looks good. Now, material held down to the painter's tape with CA glue just fine the entire project. So at the end, if you lift these up, lift them up rather than push laterally, it'll come unglued because the painter's tape will let go. So the painter's tape in this case let go of the table, and then it'll come right off of this as well. Feels right away clean. And if you use for the parts, if your glue seeps through or gets on the wood because you slid the material around, you can just use a spackling knife or a chisel and just kind of clean it off real quick. So this comes off real quick and clean. To me, this is an easy way to hold pieces that you're doing surface carving from. Nice, quick, easy way to do it, and it's a nice finished sign and looks great. He's going to put a sealant of some sort on it. I don't know if he's going to use water locks or tung oil or some type of urethane, but he'll seal this, and we'll show pictures of it finished and installed. 2 foot by 3 foot sign.